In 1866, a powerful kingdom defeated Austria. This event changed Europe forever. The old balance of power trembled. A new force was rising. Prussia. Its victory was a shockwave. It echoed across capitals. A new era was dawning. The continent held its breath. What would come next? For centuries, Austria had been a dominant power, the Habsburg Empire, vast and influential. But its foundations were creaking. Nationalism stirred within its borders. Prussia, smaller but ambitious, saw an opportunity. It was a kingdom of discipline and growing industrial might. The Battle of Königgrätz was decisive. Austria's influence in Germany waned. A new chapter was being written. This shift was not accidental. It was orchestrated in part by a master statesman, Otto von Bismarck, the Prussian Chancellor, a man of vision and steel. He understood the currents of his time. He knew how to harness them. His goal, a united Germany. Dominated by Prussia, of course. The defeat of Austria was a crucial step. It cleared a major obstacle. To Bismarck's grand design. Europe watched, uneasy. The map was being redrawn, not by consent, but by power. The German question was nearing an answer forged in iron and sometimes in blood. The old ways were fading fast. Who was this Otto von Bismarck? He was not a king, nor a revolutionary in the streets. He was a Junker, a nobleman. From the Prussian landed gentry, loyal to his king Wilhelm I, but with a mind of his own, sharp, pragmatic, and utterly determined. He saw a path to German unity. Bismarck believed in Realpolitik. Politics of reality, not ideals. He famously spoke of iron and blood, not speeches and majority votes. These, he said, would decide great questions. He was a master of diplomacy, and when needed of war. He played the European powers, like pieces on a chessboard. In 1862, King Wilhelm I faced a crisis. The Prussian parliament resisted army reforms. The king considered abdication, then he called upon Bismarck, appointing him minister-president and foreign minister of Prussia. It was a gamble for the king. Bismarck was controversial even then, but he promised to govern, even against the parliament's will. Bismarck's vision was clear, a united Germany, led by Prussia. This meant excluding Austria, Prussia's longtime rival, for dominance in the German lands. He knew this path was risky. It would require skill, patience, and a willingness to use force. He was prepared for all of it. The fate of Germany was in his hands. What was this Germany Bismarck sought to unite? It was not yet a single nation. Instead, a patchwork of states, dozens of them large and small, kingdoms, duchies, free cities, loosely bound in the German Confederation, established after Napoleon's defeat. In 1815 at the Congress of Vienna, a structure designed for stability, not necessarily for German unity. The Confederation was weak, its parliament, the Federal Diet, ineffective, dominated by Austria and Prussia, often pulling in opposite directions. The smaller states guarded their independence, fearing absorption by larger powers. Nationalist sentiments were growing, a desire for a unified German fatherland. But how to achieve it, and under whose leadership? Austria, a vast multi-ethnic empire, headed the Confederation. It naturally resisted a strong unified Germany, especially one led by Prussia. Such a state would challenge Austrian power, within Germany and in Europe. Many German liberals dreamed of unity, through peaceful constitutional means. The 1848 revolutions had tried, and failed to create such a state. Bismarck saw this fractured landscape. He understood its weaknesses and its potential. The Confederation was a hurdle, Austria was a rival. The particularism of states, an obstacle. He needed to dismantle the old, to build something new and strong. His methods would be bold and often quite ruthless. Bismarck needed a cause, a way to assert Prussian power, and to test the waters. The Schleswig-Holstein question provided it. Two duchies, Schleswig and Holstein, located south of Denmark, with complex historical ties to both Denmark and the German Confederation. Their status was hotly disputed, a flashpoint waiting to ignite. In 1863, Denmark tried to integrate Schleswig. This violated international treaties and inflamed German nationalist feelings. Bismarck saw his chance. He portrayed Prussia as the defender of German rights and interests. He cleverly maneuvered Austria into an alliance with Prussia against the Danes, a seemingly unlikely partnership. The Danish War of 1864 was swift. Denmark, small and isolated, stood no chance. Against the combined might of Prussia and Austria, the Danish forces were defeated. Denmark was forced to siege Schleswig, and Holstein and Lauenburg to the victorious powers. Prussia and Austria would administer them jointly for now. This joint administration was key to Bismarck's longer-term strategy. It was inherently unstable, prone to disagreements. Bismarck knew this. He planned for it. The Danish War achieved several things. It boosted Prussia's prestige, it showed the Prussian military's strength, and it sowed the seeds of future conflict with Austria. Section 5 Clash of Titans, the Austro-Prussian War. The victory over Denmark was shared, but Bismarck did not want to share power, especially not with Austria. Disputes over Schleswig-Holstein simmered. Prussia administered Schleswig, Austria administered Holstein. Bismarck deliberately provoked Austria over the governance of the duchies. He needed a pretext for war, a war to settle German leadership. Bismarck was a master diplomat. Before confronting Austria directly, he worked to isolate it. He secured Russian neutrality. He promised Venetia to Italy in exchange for an alliance against Austria. He even gauged French opinion, ensuring Napoleon III would likely stay out, or at least not intervene for Austria. The stage was carefully set. In June 1866, war erupted. The Austro-Prussian War, also known as the 7 Weeks' War. It was shockingly fast. Prussia's military was superior, better trained, better equipped, with breech-loading needle guns, and led by brilliant strategist Helmuth von Moltke. They utilized railways effectively for rapid troop movements. The decisive battle occurred at Königgrätz, or Sadawa, on July 3, 1866. Prussian forces crushed the Austrians. The victory was overwhelming. It stunned Europe. Austria was forced to sue for peace. Bismarck, however, was moderate in victory. He did not seek to humiliate Austria or annex its territory. He needed Austria neutralized, not a permanent enemy. Section 6. A New Order, the North German Confederation. The Austro-Prussian War reshaped Germany. The old German Confederation was dissolved. It had existed for half a century, but now it was gone. Austria was formally excluded from German affairs. Prussia's dominance in northern Germany was now undisputed. Bismarck's plan was unfolding step by calculated step. In its place, a new entity arose, the North German Confederation. Established in 1867, it united all German states north of the Main River under Prussian leadership. King Wilhelm I of Prussia was its president, and Bismarck became its chancellor. A new federal constitution was adopted, crafted largely by Bismarck himself. This new confederation was a true state, not just a loose alliance. It had a strong federal government responsible for defense, foreign policy, and economic matters. It had a parliament, the Reichstag, elected by universal male suffrage, a surprisingly progressive feature, though power remained concentrated in the hands of Prussia and its chancellor. The southern German states remained independent: Bavaria, Württemberg, Baden, Hesse-Darmstadt. They were predominantly Catholic and wary of Protestant Prussia's power. Bismarck knew he could not force them into union immediately, but he signed secret military alliances with these southern states. They pledged mutual support if attacked by a foreign power like France. Section 7, the French Gambit, setting the stage for unity. Prussia's rise alarmed France. Under Napoleon III, France saw itself as Europe's leading power. A united Germany challenged French prestige. Napoleon III miscalculated. He expected a long Austro-Prussian war. Instead, Prussia won quickly. Napoleon sought compensation along the Rhine. Bismarck rebuffed these demands. Tensions rose between France and Prussia. A new crisis emerged in 1870. The Spanish throne became vacant. A German prince was offered the Spanish crown. France opposed this, fearing encirclement. Prince Leopold withdrew his candidacy. France pushed too far. They demanded a guarantee from King Wilhelm. The king refused. He sent a telegram to Bismarck. Bismarck saw his opportunity to provoke war. Section 8. Blood and Iron Forged. The Franco-Prussian War. Bismarck received the king's telegram, the Ems dispatch. He edited it carefully, not by adding lies, but by omitting words, making the king's refusal seem abrupt, and the French demand impertinent. He then released it to the press. It had the desired effect. Public opinion in France was outraged. They felt their honor was slighted. Fueled by nationalist fervor and confident of its military prowess, France declared war on Prussia on July 19, 1870. This was exactly what Bismarck wanted. France appeared as the aggressor. The defensive alliances kicked in. The southern German states, Bavaria, Württemberg, Baden, joined Prussia against France. German unity, forged in common defense. The war was a disaster for France. The German armies were well prepared, efficiently mobilized, and skillfully led by Moltke again. They invaded France, winning a series of stunning victories. The most decisive was at Sedan on September 1, 1870. Emperor Napoleon III himself was captured, along with his army. The French Second Empire collapsed. A Third Republic was proclaimed in Paris, but the war continued. German forces advanced and laid siege to Paris. The city endured terrible hardship, starvation and bombardment, but eventually it had to yield. The French military was broken. The path to German unification was clear. Section 9. Birth of an Empire. The Proclamation at Versailles. With France defeated, the unification of German states began. Bismarck negotiated with southern states. They joined the new empire, preserving some local rights. The dream of German nationalists was becoming reality. The Hall of Mirrors at Versailles was chosen for the proclamation. Louis XIV's palace, now witnessing German power, a calculated display of triumph and shifting dominance. On January 18, 1871, King Wilhelm I was proclaimed German Emperor. The German Empire was born, transforming Europe's map.